Okay, let's dive straight in. Imagine a company deciding to spend, well, more on one single thing this year than the GDP of many small nations.
Yeah, it's pretty mind-blowing when you put it like that.
We're talking $65 billion earmarked just for artificial intelligence in 2025. And they're not just aiming for slightly smarter algorithms, they're explicitly chasing superintelligence.
That's the headline-grabbing term, isn't it?
Absolutely. Welcome to the deep dive. We got a whole stack of fascinating articles and notes from you all, digging into Meta's, well, incredibly bold move into artificial general intelligence, or AGI.
Yeah, lots of good stuff to sift through here.
So today, that's our mission. We're going to unpack these sources, try to figure out the strategy behind this massive bet Meta's making, and perhaps most importantly, what it can mean for the future of tech and how you interact with it every single day. Let's get into it.
And that headline number, the $65 billion, it's
Yeah.
just staggering on its own. I mean, we've seen big AI investments across big tech, obviously. But the scale Meta is talking about for this year alone,
Mm.
it really sets it apart. $65 billion focused just on AI research and, crucially, infrastructure.
It really feels like a different order of magnitude, doesn't it? You look at the figures coming out from other players, maybe for specific deals or announced projects, and this number for Meta's overall AI spend just for 2025, it's just, wow. It suggests a complete reorientation of their resources, their priorities.
Definitely feels like it.
And it's all anchored by the launch of this new Superintelligence Lab, set to open its doors sometime in 2025.
Absolutely, and the commitment seems to come right from the very top. The materials you shared really highlight Mark Zuckerberg's direct involvement.
Yeah, I saw that.
Not just setting the vision, but apparently even down to personally leading recruitment efforts for this new initiative.
That level of focus from the CEO,
Yeah.
it tells you how critical they must see this.
Exactly. It signals it's a top, maybe the top priority.
Okay, before we go much further, maybe we should quickly clarify the landscape here. These terms, AI, AGI, superintelligence, they get thrown around a lot, sometimes, interchangeably.
They do. It gets confusing.
But the sources we're looking at make some important distinctions. How should we understand them for this conversation?
Yeah, it's a really crucial point for framing Meta's ambition here. So right now, most of the AI we encounter daily, recommending your next video, filtering emails, helping with quick tasks.
The stuff we use all the time.
Exactly. That generally falls under current AI. These systems are incredibly powerful, no doubt, but they're designed and trained for specific, often quite narrow tasks.
Got it. Specialized.
Right. Then the next major goal, often called the holy grail in the field, is artificial general intelligence, AGI. Think of systems that could, theoretically, perform any intellectual task a human can.
Any task.
That's the idea. They could reason, solve problems, learn from maybe just limited data, understand context, and generalize knowledge across vastly different domains. Much more like human cognition.
Okay, so AGI is human-level intelligence across the board.
That's the target. And then, what Meta is explicitly aiming for with this new lab, according to these reports, is superintelligence.
Which means
Capabilities that exceed human intelligence across the board. So the push here, it seems, is beyond just making current AI models a bit better.
Yeah.
It's about building systems that can truly think like humans and ultimately surpass that.
Wow. So they're not just building a slightly better chatbot or a smarter recommendation engine.
This doesn't sound like it.
They're attempting to build, I guess, a digital mind, capable of human level, maybe even superhuman level, reasoning and learning across basically everything. That's an enormous undertaking.
Huge.
And the sources detail some pretty aggressive strategic moves to try and make it happen.
Exactly. And one of the most significant, maybe the cornerstone, is that massive investment in scale AI.
Right, I saw that figure, $14.8 billion deal value for a 49% stake paid in cash. That number is just eye-watering for what's, on the surface, a data labeling company. Why is that so fundamental to this AGI push?
Well, it sounds deceptively simple, doesn't it? Data labeling, but it's absolutely critical. It's like the bedrock for training truly advanced AI, especially something like AGI.
Okay.
These incredibly sophisticated models, they learn from immense data sets. And the quality, the accuracy, the sheer volume of labeled data, that's often a major bottleneck.
Right, garbage in, garbage out, basically.
Precisely. Scale AI specializes in preparing that data at, well, scale. So investing this heavily means Meta is basically securing a foundational piece of the AGI pipeline. They're ensuring they have control, or at least significant influence, over the quality and speed of the data preparation needed for these incredibly ambitious models they want to build.
So it's like locking down the supply of the most crucial ingredient before you even start building your incredibly complex factory.
Makes sense. And wasn't there a key person from Scale AI highlighted in the sources as well?
Yes, Alexander Wang, the founder of Scale AI.
Young guy, right.
Very young, yeah, just 28. He's already seen as a kind of wunderkind in the field. And the reports say he's joining Meta's new superintelligence team. Oh, interesting. So not just the company stake, but the founder, too.
Exactly. The reports frame this as a strategic talent capture, bringing in the leader of a company that's absolutely vital to the core process directly onto the team that's building the AI itself. It's a power move.
And speaking of talent, the sources really seem to emphasize Zuck's personal focus on assembling the right people for this. It's not just like leaving it to HR. It's a top-down, targeted effort.
Precisely. The strategy outlined is all about identifying the world's absolute best AI researchers, wherever they might be.
The Top Guns.
The top guns, yeah. And making what are described as irresistible offers to bring them on board. They're forming a small, highly focused, elite team.
And this elite team, you mentioned it's small, just around 50 researchers.
Right.
And they report directly to Zuckerberg.
That's what the materials indicate, yes. Under his direct supervision, the clear objective seems to be to accelerate development.
Makes sense. Cut through the bureaucracy.
Right. Create a kind of fast-track path to potential AGI breakthroughs by removing layers of management and putting these top minds directly under leadership scrutiny and presumably support.
That level of direct oversight, it really underscores how much of a pivot this feels like for Meta's AI efforts overall. The sources trace their history a bit, and this looks like a major, major turning point.
It really does seem that way. I mean, they launched their first AI lab way back in 2013. Interestingly, that was after they apparently lost out on acquiring DeepMind, which Google snapped up.
Ah, you didn't know that history?
Yeah. And for years, from roughly 2018 up to maybe 2024, their AI focus seemed primarily on, let's say, practical applications within their existing platforms.
Like making Facebook or Instagram work better.
Exactly. Improving your feed recommendations, enhancing content moderation, making the ads work better, that sort of thing. But the sources identified 2025 as this significant pivot point. The shift is explicitly towards fundamental AGI research. And this intensity seems set to continue into 2026 and beyond. So it's not just refining the existing AI. It feels like a strategic overhaul aimed at building something entirely new from the ground up.
And of course, this isn't happening in a vacuum, is it? This enormous investment, the strategic pivot, it's all happening right in the middle of what everyone is calling the big tech AI arms race.
Absolutely. I mean, every major tech company is heavily invested. You see Microsoft's very close ties with OpenAI.
Yep.
Amazon backing Anthropic significantly.
Yeah.
Google developing its own models and also licensing from others, like Character AI, apparently. It's a fiercely competitive landscape.
And getting there first with AGI, that could be huge.
Potentially decisive, yeah. A massive advantage. What stands out, though, going back to that number, is Meta's stated $65 billion spend for just 2025 compared to maybe the public figures for competitors' overall AI budgets for the year.
It's a declaration.
It really is. A statement of intent through sheer scale. And when you zoom out even further, the materials note that the projected total big tech AI spending for 2025 could hit $320 billion.
Wow. $320 billion across the board.
That's the projection. And apparently, that's a 16% increase just since forecasts made earlier this year. It just highlights the truly global, massive push happening right now in this field.
Okay, so they're spending these vast sums, they're hiring the absolute best talent, they're chasing AGI. But let's get to the why it matters part. What does this ambition mean beyond just the technical achievement? What are the potential commercial applications? And how could this possibly impact you, the listener, directly?
Right, that's the critical piece, isn't it? Meta's AGI pursuit isn't just some academic exercise tucked away in a lab somewhere. The sources lay out very clear commercial targets that achieving AGI could, well, supercharge.
Like what?
Well, the most obvious one, given Meta's business, is advertising. AGI could potentially enable a level of hyper-personalized targeting we probably haven't seen before. Imagine AI that truly understands your nuanced interests, maybe anticipates your needs, or predicts purchasing intent with incredible accuracy.
So the ads you see could become even more relevant, or maybe creepily relevant.
That's the potential, yes. More relevant for you, hopefully, and higher conversion rates for the advertisers paying Meta. Then there are chatbots and AI assistants.
Okay.
The reports mention the potential for interactions that are far more human-like, much more natural, and genuinely helpful in actually solving problems, moving way beyond the sort of scripted responses we often get now.
More like talking to a helpful person than a machine.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
And think about devices like the Ray-Ban smart glasses they have. Integrating AGI could totally transform them. Instead of just being a camera with some basic AI features, they could offer, say, real-time information overlays based on what you're seeing.
Yeah.
Understand complex visual scenes, provide intelligent assistance instantly.
So that moves from just a smart gadget to something much closer to an intelligent layer augmenting your reality.
Exactly. That's the potential vision. And then on the broader business side, achieving AGI could open up possibilities for entirely new business models.
Like selling the AI itself.
Perhaps. Offering AI as a service to other companies, maybe creating advanced productivity tools we haven't conceived of yet, unlocking revenue streams that are hard to even fully envision right now. The promise, I think, is that AGI isn't just another feature. It's a potential engine that could transform your entire social media experience, your device interactions, and create fundamental shifts in Meta's business itself.
Okay, that makes sense. And this massive investment isn't just impacting Meta's future plans. The sources also highlight its immediate ripple effect across the wider market, right?
Yes, absolutely. This huge wave of AI spending is driving significant activity in related sectors. AI infrastructure stocks, the companies providing the picks and shovels like data centers, servers, network gear.
The hardware backbone.
Exactly. They're up significantly. The materials mentioned something like 52% since the April lows.
Wow, that's a big jump.
Yeah.
It makes complete sense, though. If everyone's building these enormous AI models, the demand for the actual physical infrastructure to power them must be just through the roof.
Precisely. And it goes beyond just the tech hardware itself. The electrical equipment sector is also seeing a boom, up around 39% in the same period mentioned.
Why electrical equipment specifically?
Well, think about the unprecedented power demands of these massive data centers and AI operations. You need huge amounts of electricity, cooling systems, power distribution, all that infrastructure. It shows how this AI push is fundamentally impacting large swaths of the economy, not just software companies.
Interesting. So looking ahead then, what's the immediate road ahead for Meta based on everything you've seen in these sources? What are the next steps?
Well, the immediate next steps seem pretty clear from the reports. First, fully leveraging that scale AI investment to build the best possible data foundation for training.
Getting the data house in order.
Exactly. Second, continuing to aggressively recruit and assemble that elite 50-person research team.
The A-team.
The A-team, yeah. And third, intensely focusing on developing the breakthrough algorithms and architectures needed to actually make significant progress towards AGI. It's not just about data and people. It's about fundamental research breakthroughs.
Right. The core science.
The core science.
Yeah.
So the picture that really emerges is one of high urgency and intense focus. Materials consistently reinforce this idea that it is a race, and the potential rewards for the company that achieves AGI first are seen as immense, potentially reshaping the entire technology landscape forever.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive into the sources, it paints a picture of Meta making a truly staggering bet, a $65 billion investment this year alone.
That's incredible.
Squarely aimed at achieving artificial general intelligence and ultimately superintelligence. It's supported by these big strategic moves like acquiring that significant stake in Scale AI, grabbing their founder, assembling this elite research team under direct top leadership. It really marks a fundamental pivot in their whole AI strategy, doesn't it? It fuels this intense arms race among the tech giants, and it's already having these tangible ripple effects on the stock market in supporting industries.
Absolutely. And the potential payoff, at least from their perspective, looks revolutionary.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about slightly better internal tools. We're talking fundamental shifts in advertising, in conversational AI, in augmented reality, and maybe entirely new business models that could really reshape how you experience digital technology in the coming years.
So here's the provocative thought that the sources kind of leave us with, and it's a big one. There's this huge range of expert opinion on when AGI might actually arrive.
Yeah, nobody really knows for sure.
Some people believe it could be here in a startlingly short time frame, maybe just 1 to 3 years. Others are much more conservative, thinking it's still decades away.
A huge range of predictions.
Right. So given the unprecedented scale of Meta's investment that we've discussed and their really aggressive, focused strategy highlighted in these materials, How might their concentrated effort actually influence that timeline? Could they pull it forward significantly?
It's the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it?
Exactly. And if they, or maybe someone else caught up in this race, does accelerate AGI development significantly, what does the possibility of that rapid advancement actually mean for the world? It's certainly something to ponder as you navigate the tech landscape going forward.